Okay, I'm not sure what's happening. But it doesn't look like my camera is working for some reason. So I'm not sure why. So I apologize. Give me one more second. I'm going to check something else here. Try to get it working. Can anybody see me? And can you put it in the chat box if you can see it? I apologize. I want to welcome everybody to Getting Better with Peer Coaching. So become a better coach through peer coaching. My name is Janice Plado Dalager, and my camera has decided not to work for me today of all the days. Okay, that still doesn't look like it's working. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch computers. Hopefully it's not going to take too long here. We'll try this instead. Thank goodness for having so many other devices around, I suppose. Okay, hi, I'm Janice Plado Dalager, and welcome to Becoming a Better Coach with Peer Coaching. I am the co-founder of the True Greatness Coaching Circle. We're actually the True Greatness Coaching Community now, and you may be wondering, what is my big deal about peer coaching and why do I love it so much? So I've been doing peer coaching. Obviously, all of us who've been through some sort of coach training have done peer coaching in our trainings before. It's usually part of it, you learn a technique and then you practice it on your fellow coaching students. That's usually how it goes. And then maybe you'll switch. The person who was the client becomes the coach, and the person who was the coach becomes the client, and then you try the technique again. Switching roles, and then then you'd go back into the big group and share. For instance, that's usually how it works in a coach training, especially if you have an in-person training, if you did your classes in an in-person type of class versus in an online situation. So obviously, I came from coach training. I finished my coach training in 2008. And when was that? 2011? Yeah, 2011, 2010. She and I met virtually via Facebook and then through phone conversations, and decided that we needed to do something about developing more coaching support for coaches who are just coming out of training, and or maybe not just coming out of training, but not using their coaching gifts any longer, because they just stream. We developed our first coaching circle a couple months after that. So ever since 2011, ever since we started this, so it's been about 4 years since we started the coaching circles. We do about 3 or 4 coaching cycles every year with our coaching community. We're always inviting more people in and telling more people about our coaching community, but it's really based out of peer coaching. And in case you were wondering what diagram here, let's see if we can do this. Okay, so I'm going to share a screen with you, a screenshot with you, and what is peer coaching? And it is basically in a circle. Obviously, it's just coaches coaching other coaches, and in a paired situation where you only have 2 coaches, A coaches B, and B would coach A, right? Kind of like what we do in training. One coaches the other, and then after time is up, then we say switch, and B now coaches A. Now, that's great, except sometimes it's harder. There's a challenge in being objective around being that person's client after you've been their coach for the last 15 minutes, let's say. And in a training situation, you're practicing a technique. So in a circle type of situation, A coaches B, B coaches C, and C coaches D, and so forth and so on. And then the last person in the circle coaches the first person in the circle. So you don't have the same person as your coach and as your client. You have a different coach and you have a different person as your client. So that's what peer coaching is about. Now, there are certain factors that make different in a bit, but just the benefits of peer coaching in general. All right, give me a second here. I'm gonna switch the screen. There we go. The benefits of peer coaching. Um, the first thing on there is that you exercise that coaching muscle, and that's something that Crystal always says. So you can't get better at something if you're not doing it. You can read all the books you want, you can get all the training that you want, and don't get me wrong, those things will make you better. But as far as effective benefit, what's going to make you better faster, right? And really grow you in leaps and bounds. And this is not just for coaching, but for anything, is to actually do it. Like I said, it's something in a book and it's theoretical until you actually sit down, not sit down, but get up and do the coaching. So that is always going to improve you. And peer coaching, obviously, since you're doing coaching, you're going to get better at it. Now, people who use coaches, it's been proven, people who use coaches learn more faster. And by using coaches, I mean get coaching from somebody. Most of us who are coachpreneurs, right, have our own business, have our own practices as coaches. We do a lot of giving, we do a lot of teaching out there, but we don't do a lot of we don't get coaching ourselves. And I'm a strong believer in kind of a karmic effect. So if you want something to come back to you, if you want other people to understand the value of what you do as a coach, then you have to invest in a coach yourself. Now, obviously, when you're starting out, we usually don't have a budget laid out for getting coaching from another coach. Or finding another coach. So this is an economical way to employ another coach. And hopefully, if it's a paid coaching hours, you would earn coaching hours that go toward a certification, right? Which is also important. So those are all benefits of peer coaching. And it's one of the reasons that we love peer coaching so much. It is just mutually beneficial for everyone in the circle. Now, peer coaching seems really simple, right? It's just a bunch of people coaching each other, but we've seen a lot of peer coaching situations fail, right? A lot of circles fail, or coaching communities fail, and these are the reasons that I've found that why it doesn't work out sometimes. Peer coaching will fail when coaches do not respect clients, and the thing is, if they don't respect clients who are trained coaches already, they probably don't respect, I hate to say this, they probably don't respect regular clients who don't know anything about coaching necessarily, right? The coaches don't respect each other, which is kind of saying the same thing. But if there isn't basically a mutual respect between all the coaches in the circle, then it's not going to happen. There's going to be a certain degree of failure. And when I talk about failure in a coaching circle, we're talking about people dropping out of the circle, people not showing up for their coaching appointments, either as coaches or clients, which is, I know it doesn't seem like that would be possible. Like, why would you do that? But it's true. We've seen it happen. So the circle actually fails when there's so much of that going on that it takes over the integrity of the circle. Another thing is when coaches have very different objectives for participating. Maybe they, I just want to get a peer coach and a peer client so that I can sell my own stuff to them, so I can pitch my own wares to that person. So versus somebody who is genuinely in there because they want to use a coach, they want to get genuine coaching, and they want to practice. And I say practice, but there's no such thing as practice coaching. At least I hope not. at least among our circle. I should hope not. But for instance, I mean, that would be one of the things. That the coaches are coaching as if it is practice, so not really investing themselves as coaches or as clients. The next thing is that when coaches are treated like children by the people who are administering the circle, there's a certain amount of integrity that's required when you are administering a coaching circle. And that means, whoops, that means that we have to, what do I want to say? You have to treat everybody like adults and everybody as responsible people. So the coaches can't be treated like children. This goes for things for like even paying fees. You know, you can't be running to, if you are taking fees for your coaching, then as a professional coach, you have to be able to collect those fees yourself. And it looks like my screen just disappeared. Did I just disappear from you? I hope not. Yikes. Let's put this on the, let me share that. Let's see my screen. Just properly, or if there are any problems, I'd really appreciate that. Okay, I'll continue presenting, but if somebody could put that in the chat, I would super appreciate it. Thanks. So that's the other thing. When coaching administration, the administration of the circle, doesn't trust the coaches who are in the circle, who are participating, and I say treats them like children, but then there's no respect from the people who are running the circle. So there's no respect and trust there, then of course there's going to be failure in that. Or if the coaches are not engaged at all. Now, I'd be curious to find out if any of you have been involved in a coaching circle before, have done any sort of peer coaching before. You can, let's see, what's the best way to let us know about that? If you have the group chat available to you, you can do that. Just type it in on the screen, in the chat screen, or you can, I think, my Q&A box. You might be able to type something in the Q&A box. The chat is definitely working. I'm not so sure about the Q&A. Just write everybody a note in case you were looking for the chat there. All right. Also, if you have any questions at all, I see we've got a couple people who have joined the presentation. If you have any questions at all around what I'm talking about now, please let me know. Okay, about peer coaching in general. What is peer coaching? If you've had an experience with peer coaching before and you've done peer coaching before, or if you have some other questions around peer coaching that I haven't answered yet. So, okay, give everyone a moment to. absorb that. So we're talking about why peer coaching can fail. Nobody ever likes to see that happen, and I'm not saying coaching circles do that, but there is a certain something involved in getting the coaching circle to work. You can obviously just pair up with another coach who you mutually respect each other, and as long as always, as long as the understanding is there between the two parties of how we're going to do this, and what each is all stuff that we've been talking about already. Mutual respect for the coaching process, right? Coaching process has so much to do with well, sometimes it requires a lot of patience, and the process, if you're a coach, you already know that for a client, it is respecting a certain degree of, how do you say, a certain degree of discomfort, and learning through that discomfort. Learning through that discomfort and growing out of that discomfort. There has to be a mutual respect for coaching expertise. So this works out really well for coaches at all levels. Now, there are some circles where they want all coaches at the same level, at a really high level, or maybe at a beginner level. But then again, there's this gray area of what's in between, and how do you gauge what is expert level coaching. I think we all know where beginning level coaching is, but like we said earlier, it's not all in the training. Training is important, and I think it gives structure to the coaching and gives us terms that we can commonly identify as coaches, especially when we're trying to troubleshoot what is happening or working or not working in a coaching situation. But especially all of us are in the business of coaching people who are outside of the coaching industry, then there's so we're not all going to be using the same kinds of terms. So when you are entering into a peer coaching situation, keep that in mind as far as do you have a mutual respect for all the levels of expertise in that coaching circle. Mutual objectives from the circle. Are we all here to learn from each other? Are some of us on our coaching? So in other words, as a coach or a client, even though we're both coaches in that situation, are we looking at the coaching for the same benefit, right? Usually a coach is there to facilitate the discovery of a solution, or motivation or encouragement toward a specific solution for and with their clients, so it's collaborative. But if it is, for instance, like a mentoring situation or a critique situation, and you're going to use a technique, for instance, and then that client is going to come back and say, okay, so something else you could have done when you were asking me about my objectives for the session. Another way that you could have done this was blah, blah, blah. So that means that your client is not listening anymore with a client ear, right? That's a little bit different. They're not listening with a client ear. And in some situations, in some circles, that is what the participants want. They don't want to do actual the clients are actually there listening, for not listening, taking note of how you do something, taking note of your technique instead of actually taking your expertise into their solution, right? So actually applying it to themselves. So those are two different objectives, and just as an example. Mutual respect as professionals, and that can be paid professionals. If a client or a coach is not willing to pay other people in the circle party, then that's a disrespect for, and that's a lack of professionalism. That's one example of a lack of professionalism. I also have on here neutral administration. So those who are administering the circle remain neutral. They don't get involved in what client and coach, in the actual client and coach situations. They may match people together, but it is critical that the administrators of the coaching circle remain neutral. And the last thing is an end date. So, because the coaching circle can't, it can go to undetermined amounts of time. It can go on without an end date, but it is, we've found it actually in our experience, we've found it to, I'm trying to switch this camera here. Oh, go. You see my living room for some reason. Okay. I hope you can see me. What was I saying? Oh, an end date. The importance of having an end date. So there is an end to the coaching term. We're coaching for 3 months, and at this date, we need to be finished up with that particular goal. So one of the benefits of doing that is it gets the clients and the coach to focus on a goal that can be accomplished in the prescribed amount of time. So we don't have all year, although, this goal that you have in mind for this 3-month term certainly falls into place for your year goal. But the coaching term itself is only 3 months long, for instance. Let's see. As far as professionals, coaches being expected to manage themselves, I should say professionals, as well as neutrality of the circle administrators. Coaches being expected to manage themselves like professionals, manage themselves, manage their clients, and manage themselves as clients. So that means addressing payments, time management, voicing your own needs, and so forth and so on, just as they would in their own practice. Just because you're coaching other coaches doesn't mean that you can get sloppy, doesn't mean that you can be less professional. And sometimes professional, does that mean I can't use cuss words during my sessions? Well, in your practice, if you are okay with it, then you're okay. But for instance, if you're a client who cuss words, for instance, really become a distraction in a session, and you don't like cuss words, whatever, then it is the client's responsibility to say, hey, can you stop using those words because it really takes my focus on what we're trying to create here, or whatever is bothering you as a coach or a client in a situation. Trusting everybody to basically do their job for, and voice their needs in that situation. So those are the things that we've found make coaching in a peer coaching situation very it just works out for everybody. And obviously you can tell it has a lot to do with mutual respect and mutual understanding, and communication, which, as always, that's what you need to do as far as a community, and even with the coaching relationship between coach and client. That's what really makes a is going to make the relationship work for a community, or in the coaching situation, coaching relationship, is opening those lines of communication. As soon as the communication stops, then there's no possibility of changing things for people. So there's that. So the other thing that I want to note is that at least with the True Greatness Circle, and this is one of our basic tenets, you could say, is that there's a mutual understanding that in every experience there is something to be learned. If you're a coach, if you're someone who doesn't feel that that there is something to be learned from your clients, then peer coaching may not be a good fit for you. Peer coaching will work out for those participants who are willing to gain benefit from whatever coaching experience they land with. So understanding that our clients are teachers, and they often remind us of learning that we ourselves have to do. So just another thing to keep in mind around that. So let me see. Does anybody have any questions right now? Okay, if you're just joining us, I just want to let you know that, well, I'm Janice from the True Greatness Coaching Circle, and I'm here talking today around why peer coaching, or how peer coaching can be of mutual benefit. Well, it can make you a better coach, basically. Why peer coaching can make you a better coach. Now, I did get emailed a question recently around this. You'll have to excuse me. I gotta fish it out of here. A second. Hold on one moment. While I disappear from the screen. Here we are. So the question that I got earlier was, is coaching coaches harder than coaching, quote, regular people, right? Is coaching coaches harder than coaching regular people? And I think people are going to have different answers to that question. The thing that I'm going to say myself is that, hold on one second. I hope you can hear me okay. The thing I'm going to say about that is that as long as everybody is coming into the relationship understanding that although I am a trained coach, I am here as a client. I am here to receive. So understanding your role in a collaboration that is a coaching relationship, as long as everyone is clear for why they're there. Now, one thing that does happen that I've noticed in myself too, is that when I am coaching other coaches, especially early on when we first started doing this, when I'm coaching other coaches, I tend to shrink back. I tend to shrink back and not just not feel as comfortable sharing my gifts, maybe like not wanting to offend, not sharing my insights in a bold manner, until that happened for a while. I think I was sort of holding back and not trying to hold back from the client, but just not feeling comfortable with like really showing up boldly. And maybe it was something that I was doing in my regular practice anyway, and it just sort of was amplified in coaching other coaches. Until I did have an experience of my client in the circle. I'd asked for feedback at the end of our term, and she told me, and sometimes it's very strange, sometimes you have to have someone on the outside tell you this and actually hear the words that somebody says around this. She told me, Janice, you are a very gifted coach. Now, first of all, that coach. But then, on top of that, she said, but I know you are holding back and you wait for just the right time, what you think is the right time to add your insights. Don't, and she was basically telling me if I let loose, it would be totally okay and actually could be beneficial for my clients. So, so don't hold back. I think that is good feedback, good advice for any coach. Is if you have a gift for coaching or whatever gift you bring to coaching, use it. Don't hold back on your client. Some of us, myself for instance, tend to want to be polite. I do get a little less polite in a coaching session. Because if you have truth to share, it just has to be shared. It's being brought to you to be brought to your client for their benefit. And that's what people hire coaches to do. That's what people hire us to do. So don't shrink back from the job you're being called to do, especially if you've got the gifts to do it. If you were called to it, it's different than having filled out an application and having won the job by lottery or something like that. Coaching, I think, is a very different job in that respect, in that it requires a bit. Most of the coaches I know were called to coaching, so it's certainly a vocation. So let me see if there are any questions at all. I'm just looking over here to the side to see if there is anything popping up in the chat or in the Q&A. And you're going to see on your screen, I should explain, I'm Janice, and what you're going to see on the screen, because we had some technical difficulties earlier and I had to not use the computer that I was going to use, you're going to see it pop up as Samba. Samba Pal is doing this presentation. It's still me, but for some reason the camera on the other machine just decided to flake out on me. So who knows? Let's see. Is anybody leaving any questions anywhere else? Okay, I don't see any questions anywhere else, but I want to open it up to questions for anybody. I'm just trying to find the best place where you can deposit those questions. Let's see, I know we have some viewers here that don't have their cameras on. That's okay. And yeah, so if you want to put it in the chat box, that's fantastic. If you're following us on YouTube, let me bring that up real quick and find the YouTube event in case there's any comments in there. Now, if you are interested in coaching, in a coaching circle, if you're a coach who's interested in becoming part of a coaching circle, then please do feel free to contact me. Actually, me and Crystal Williamson, and oh, I think this is going to be a bad idea. It's co-broadcasting situation. The best way to get a hold of us is to contact us by email, and that is truegreatnesscoaching@gmail.com. truegreatnesscoaching@gmail.com. In fact, I'll pop it in here into our chat box that maybe, hopefully, is working and somebody will see. truegreatnesscoaching@gmail.com if you are interested in learning more about our particular peer coaching circle. Like I said, we do 3 every year. And if we have more people, we will open up more circles. But so far, we've just been doing 3 per year. So the next one is starting, see, it's October now. So if you want to get in on this one coming up, it's probably going to start before the end of October and going to go to the end of the year. Now, we're considering this our power round. We don't usually, you know, especially with holidays and stuff, we actually have a shortened term for coaching. So we're calling it a power round. If you have a particular goal that you want to reach before the end of the year, this would be a fantastic peer coaching round to get in on, because it's somewhat abbreviated. So depending on what you work out with your coach, the coach that you're matched up with, as far as accountability is concerned, I mean, if there is something that you want to accomplish before 2014 closes out, then being part of a coaching circle is fantastic for that. I mean, just having a coach for that particular goal is hugely beneficial. I mean, seriously, leaps and bounds. And I mean, obviously, it's collaborative, so it really depends on your commitment to it. You only get what you get out of what you put in. So the same thing applies, as you probably already know as coaches yourselves. The same thing applies with coaching circles. So there's that. So we do have a coaching round starting in mid to before the end of October. And it goes to the end of the year. Now, for instance, as far as scheduling is concerned, scheduling with your coach or your client is concerned, you that's the arrangement that you make with your coach and with your client yourself. In the True Greatness Coaching Circle, you'll be matched with a coach and matched with a client, both of which are trained coaches. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. In our coaching circle, it is fee-based, so there is a coaching fee that you would pay to your coach. At the same time, you are getting a coaching fee paid to you from the client that you've been matched up with. So it ends up being zero balance coaching, right? But because it is paid, those hours do count toward certification if you are working toward a coaching certification. So another thing that we love about our peer coaching circle, I am biased. I'll totally admit to you that I'm biased, and as I should be, I think, as a co-founder of the community. The other thing that I want to let you know about is we'll have another coaching circle starting up in February of next year. So if you want to send us email us your information, and just express interest on there. Go ahead and do that. Just send us your email that you're interested in getting into the February, March, October. They're normally February, March, April. They're normally 3 months long in our peer coaching program. So 3 months long. And we always do put a beginning and an end date. They're kind of soft end dates because depending on your relationship with your coach and the relationship with your client, just because and how flexible you want to be with scheduling. Okay, the administrators are there, and the administrators are Crystal Williamson and myself. We're there to just make sure that everyone is getting their mutual benefit from the coaching circle. So if you're having a no-show coach or client, or if you have, which we will always defer to how you would deal with a non-paying coach or client in your own practice, okay? And that's pretty much it, unless anybody has any questions. If you think of any questions later on, and maybe after you've watched the rebroadcast of this, then feel free to email us at truegreatnesscoaching@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Even if you don't have questions, if you would just share if this presentation was beneficial to you. How beneficial? On a scale of 1 to 10, let me know how it was. If you have any questions at all about peer coaching in general, becoming a better coach in community, or I know we get a lot of questions from people who are considering going into coaching. Feel free to shoot us an email. And we'd love to help you out, see if we can help you out in some way. Let's see. Yeah, any comments or questions is great. If there are some future topics in coaching that you'd like to hear about, please let us know, because we'd love to be able to share what we find, or even have you as part of the conversation. Okay, one last check of our chat box, and it looks like our not working Q&A. Fantastic. It always makes me sad when technology doesn't work the way it's supposed to. And apparently it was not supposed to. It was not going to do what I wanted it to do today. So I appreciate everybody's participation today. If you're watching this on the rebroadcast, thank you so much for watching, and please feel free to share this with other coaches who might find benefit from it. Thanks so much. I'm Janice Plado Dalager with True Greatness Coaching Community, and we'll talk to you soon.